Andre Romelle Young, who most people know as Dr. Dre, is a legendary figure in the history of rap music. That doesn't mean it's not possible that he could land himself in some hot water, though. That's exactly what happened recently. His wife, Nicole Young, seems like she's entirely done with the relationship. The problem is, it isn't quite clean as all that, though. There are accusations of Dre getting physical with her on a few occasions, and that's reason enough to know things probably aren't getting worked out. It's even more screwed up since Dre didn't really have the best prenup set up. Didn't Kanye teach him anything? If you ain't no punk, holla, we want prenup, yeah. Ha! Anyway, here we go, digging into all the details. Dr. Dre and his wife have been married for over 20 years. According to her, a lot of that time has been spent in fear. While Dre was releasing music post NWA, producing for Eminem, and dropping some of the past 20 years' hottest headphones, there might have been more going on behind the scenes. This all kind of started shortly after January of 2020 while Dre was in the hospital during a big health scare. Dre and his family suspected that he might have a brain aneurysm, and if that wasn't enough, in June of that year, Nicole filed for divorce. She cited irreconcilable differences as the reason the couple was going to split, and we've only gotten more and more details since then. Now, their two children are over 18 at this point, so it's not like she can ask for child support or anything like that. Truist and Truly are 23 and 19 respectively. Since child support isn't really a possibility, it sounds like Nicole and her lawyer are looking for spousal support instead. To respond, Dre and his lawyer pulled out a document that they called a prenup. The problem isn't exactly that it wasn't officially a prenup or anything like that, but the document has since been torn up, which means it's kinda hard to enforce at this point, right? Dre and his lawyer noted that he and Nicole had kept all of their assets since they had gotten married. That's cool and all, but there's no evidence for Nicole having waived her right to spousal support, meaning that her claim to it might work out for her. The history of the prenups in the situation is actually fairly complicated because there are plenty of times that Dre may have ripped up documents. One of the documents that were submitted to the court says that the money Dre and Nicole have was largely earned and amassed during the party's approximately 24 years marriage. It also says that before the wedding, Dre demanded that she sign a prenup under pressure, which means that she was basically coerced into it, and it shouldn't be valid. On the topic of tearing up multiple prenups, the court document says that Dre ripped up the documents as a result of duress, coercion, and undue influence, and knew the terms of the agreement were patently unconscionable. Andre also destroyed the agreement as a grand gesture of his love for Nicole and his desire to have a marriage free of any financial restrictions governing their respective rights and responsibilities. Whew. A grand gesture of his love? Alright, we get it, bro, but it's not that complicated. Just keep your money straight, man. It doesn't by any means come off like you love your wife any less. It just means that you're taking care of yourself, right? And I mean, this weird notion that signing a prenup means you love your spouse any less really needs to go. Nicole is also claiming that at this point, they haven't gotten a prenup at any time during the proceedings. It sounds like if a copy of the prenup still existed, it would have turned up by now. This is where it gets even messier. The lawyers and Nicole are now claiming that Dre set up a new holding company behind her back after kicking her out of the house. This means that he's been able to move around valuable trademarks that they're both supposed to own. If that part of the story is correct, he's moved the rights to Chronic and the name of Dr. Dre itself to the company and is now in full control of them. They've tried to go ahead and get that figured out in a way that allows them to settle out of court, but so far, none of that has happened. There was a request for $1.5 million in court fees from Nicole and her lawyers, but Dre sued over that, saying that he shouldn't have to, since he was already paying for all of her living expenses. Her lawyer shot back saying that Dre was trying to confuse the issue by throwing out all kinds of claims. They said Andre has the unmitigated gall to request that this court ignore the unambiguous statutory and case law applicable to the issuance of temporary orders for spousal support pursuant to Family Code Section 3600. The specific section they're talking about in the Family Code says either spouse to pay an amount that is necessary for the support of the other spouse. Her lawyers are also claiming that Dre is confusing the issue on purpose as a legal technique to screw up the way everything's supposed to flow. On that issue, they said, in a transparent effort to confuse the issue and avoid his straightforward obligations, Andre inundates his court with a mishmash of irrelevant legal and factual assertions that are applicable only to permanent spousal support, not temporary spousal support. There also had been plenty more choice words about Dre, basically claiming that he's purposely trying to dip out on payments. They've even gone so far as to accuse him of being broke. In a desperate effort to woefully underpay his wife, he may be inadvertently revealing one of his biggest secrets. He really isn't a billionaire, and that he has deliberately overstated his wealth to his fans and his friends to stroke his own ego. They pointed out that he's tried to pay her mere fractions of what he should actually be paying. Trying to give her $81,000 a month, that sounds like a lot of money to me, when apparently, according to their calculations, it should be closer to $2 million a month. Sheesh. She's also racketed up $5 million in legal fees since the start of the proceedings. Before all this talk, Dre's been paying $300,000 a month in spousal support. Her lawyer pointed out that Andre can't afford to litigate Nicole into the ground, while continuing to enjoy his status quo life in the lap of luxury. Nicole has not had the same luxury since separation. Andre has starved her funds, has forced her to choose between this litigation and the maintenance of her status quo lifestyle, and she has found it impossible to keep up in either respect. Now, it's fair to say that he's probably trying to have a stranglehold on her expenses so that she can't continue to sue him. The thing is, though, let's just take a second to work something out. So, $2 million a month for one person sounds absolutely crazy. It is absolutely crazy. That amount of money in a month is unimaginable. Even $300,000 a month is crazy. The court doesn't even care about all that. Instead, the court's job is to determine what the status quo expenses are so that Nicole can live the exact same lifestyle she lived while they were married. Their entertainment budget for a month while they were married was upwards of $600,000. The lawyers had a few words to say about the calculations that Dre was trying to throw out. Andre's convoluted and contrived odyssey of his income and marital standard of living should be completely disregarded. To do otherwise would be to ignore the law in California. They're also doubting how much he actually makes and are claiming he's purposely cooking the books so he doesn't have to pay nearly as much. On that topic, they said he intentionally yields artificially depressed numbers, designed to allow Andre to skirt his obligations to pay the appropriate amount of spousal support. In January of this year, Nicole also came out and said Dre held a gun to her head in the early 2000s, punched her in the head during the late 90s, and even as recently as 2016, he's been doing things like slamming doors, kicking them down, and raising hell in the home in general. She also came out with an announcement that it got so bad that he's, quote, verbally and emotionally decimated my personhood to the extent that I currently suffer from post-traumatic stress syndrome. Dre said she's been lying about everything, but it could very well be on some cap, right? He also released some lyrics to an upcoming single he's working on. Trying to kill me with them lies and that perjuries. I see you trying to with me while I'm in surgery. An ICU deathbed on some money shit. Greedy bitch. Take a pic. Girl, you know how my money get. Nicole used the lyrics to this track to say that she needs a restraining order from Dre, claiming that he's angry and dangerous. A judge denied the restraining order request, and in July, we'll see whether or not the court's gonna order Dre to pay her the $2 million a month in spousal support. With the way things are going, it seems pretty likely that it might go that way. On April 27th of 2021, the court ordered Dre to pay $500,000 to Nicole toward her legal fees. Even though it's only a tenth of what she's requesting in total for the legal fees, she's racked up. Going forward, time will only tell how this is gonna play out for those two. Dre isn't happy about having to pay her legal fees, but it seems like he's gonna have to take care of all of them eventually. What do y'all think about this, man? Is there any reason Nicole has any claim to his money? Is Dre being unfair? Let us know what you think in the comments down below. And be sure to like, share, and subscribe. Have a great rest of your day. And as always, people, keep it grizzly.
Hope you're ready for the next episode. Hey.